get out with that thing right now.
Yes.
You're who? Who are you?
Daniel Mack. I just asked you what they do for a living.
Who the f is Daniel Mack?
If you answer me, I'll give you this.
I don't want it.
Do you want it?
I don't want it.
Oh my gosh. Oh. Okay.
Get that thing out of here. That's disrespect to my house.
Okay.
Now!
This is Joanne Quintana. While she may look like your average run-of-the-mill Karen, she belonged to a famous house in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The house in question is Walter White's house from the famous TV show Breaking Bad. Throughout the past several years, she has dealt with fans of the show harassing her, as well as several instances of vandalism on the house. This was because the show's popularity came with a cost. It made the house a tourist attraction among fans visiting New Mexico, thus subjecting it to bothersome actions. But how did this all start? And more importantly, how did it end? To answer those questions, we need to go back to 2008. Vince Gilligan, the show's creator, was a creative mind behind The X-Files, playing the role of one of many of the show's executive producers. The idea to create Breaking Bad originated from an inside joke between him and fellow producer Tom Schnauz when they were unemployed. The two would joke about how the solution to their unemployment was to cook meth at the back of an RV and sell it. This inside joke got Vince's creative juices flowing, and he would go on to jot down the concept for the show and write the pilot episode.
When I just heard the idea, I thought, that's a great idea. How did you get that idea?
I was talking to a buddy of mine named Tom Schnauz, who's one of my writers now. A guy I went to NYU Film School with many years ago. And he and I had both been writers on The X-Files. And at this point in time, we were a couple years out from doing that show. Nothing writing-wise was forthcoming, so we were talking about, should we go work at H&R Block? Should we dig ditches? What else are we fit for? But he was, we were talking on the phone, bemoaning our unemployment, he mentioned an article he had read in the New York Times in which some guy had put a meth lab in the back of an RV and was driving around cooking meth. And when he said, maybe we should do that. And as soon as he mentioned that, it was the darndest thing. Just this idea for this character who would do such a thing became of great interest to me, and I wanted to pursue that idea.
It's worth noting that the show's setting was originally going to take place in Riverside, California. However, plans would soon change upon learning that the then governor of New Mexico, Bill Richardson, was offering financial aid to production teams who filmed in the state, thus making Albuquerque the setting for the show. Many scenes in the show take place outside and inside many locations in Albuquerque, and one prominent location is the house of the protagonist, Walter White. In an interview with G Entertainment, Joanne Quintana explained how Sony Productions directly approached her family members residing in the home and essentially asked them for their permission for AMC to make the house a filming location for the show's pilot. While they were initially skeptical at first, Joanne would go on to explain that they agreed to it because it was interesting how you get to meet actors, you get to see the magic behind Hollywood, you get to experience something different. Joanne would go on to explain how her family was paid little to nothing upon granting permission to film in the house. She acknowledges this by saying, "You guys think we made millions? No, we got paid a location fee." While getting to see the magic behind Hollywood may be interesting, it can lead to many downsides and unforeseen consequences, and the Quintana residents learned that the hard way. On a podcast with Johnny James, Joanne would explain when the harassment started, and surprisingly enough, it started on day one, even with some celebrities chiming in with their paparazzi. At first, she and her family enjoyed the attention from fans and celebrities alike, but it wouldn't be long before her property was not only trespassed on and vandalized, but she was also allegedly physically hurt and grabbed, according to her. While a lot of the harassment was just typical stuff like taking pictures of the house and trespassing, people would go out of their way to recreate a particular scene from the show, and it involves pizza. In Season 3, Episode 2 of the show, Walter White is shown angrily throwing a pizza on the roof of his house. To avoid spoilers, the context behind the scene will remain unexplained in this video, but this particular scene would go on to be one of, if not the most iconic moment in the show, as well as the entire television industry as a whole. And keep in mind that the episode aired right after the show became a mainstream success, when Bryan Cranston, the actor for Walter White, won his first Emmy as the show was skyrocketing in popularity, making it a cultural phenomenon in 2010, the year the episode was aired. With all of this in mind, it calls into question on when and how people discovered the real address of the house. Well, it's kinda hard to answer that question, but since Joanne stated that the harassment first started on day one, we can presume that people eventually found the real address of the home around 2008 or 2009, when the show first gained traction among the masses. A lot of people on the internet use a method of detective work by analyzing pictures of the house and comparing them to different parts of Albuquerque, and sharing findings through online forum sites. An example of this can be seen in Shia LaBeouf's "He Will Not Divide Us" flag. This method of tracking was, in theory, how people found Walter White's house, as well as with word of mouth from people who either lived near the area or recognized the area. Keep in mind that this is entirely speculation, so take this theory with a slight grain of salt. From here, the state of New Mexico would see an influx of tourists visiting Albuquerque, specifically to see the filming locations in person. But with that influx of tourists came more harassment. Things got so bad that eventually in 2015, Vince Gilligan himself had to come out to tell fans to stop harassing Joanne and her family.
She is the sweetest lady in the world, and if you were getting on her nerves, you were doing something seriously wrong.
Jonathan Banks, the actor behind Mike Ehrmantraut, would also make a statement about the situation, saying,
"If I catch you doing it, I will hunt you down."
But even after a loved actor for a loved character in the show and the show's creator told people to stop, the harassment still continued. There was even an incident where someone stood outside the house in the dead of night and poked plastic forks all over the front yard.
This is before we put the fence up. They were coming up on our property, and they were throwing pizza. Now, when somebody sits in your front lawn in the middle of the night and stabs 100 plastic forks in your yard, that's not part of the show.
Holy
that's vandalism,
shit.
stupid. We have all these pictures. I have all the proof. Anybody want to see shit? It's on my phone.
That's crazy
For no
business.
reason. That is vandalism.
And edgy teenagers would go out of their way to waste taxpayer dollars to swat the house. For those who don't know, swatting someone involves making a fake phone call to 911 to alert them and to essentially get them to go to someone's house. It's usually done to many streamers online, and you can find footage of swatting incidents taking place. The same thing happened to Joanne's family.
I've been swatted. I never even knew what that term was. I've been swatted to where the police have on a megaphone, trying to get me to come out of the fence. I'm like, no. But I've been swatted. The police have had fake calls from the side hotline saying there's a hostage situation or there's a woman been shot in the head 3 times. That's me. I have no hole in my head. I got 2 in my ears, but I don't have a hole in my head.
But the breaking point that led to the drastic measures the family would take was the time they were delivered a suspicious package addressed to Walter White on their front door. They feared it was a bomb, and they had police take it away.
But the final straw to put the fence up was 4:30 in the morning. Ding dong. What do? You get up and you run to the door. A strange package at the door. You call cops. Cops call bomb squad. Bam.
Yeah.
That was it. Fence went up.
That's crazy.
That was too close to our personal space when you're at our front door.
So bomb squad actually went to your house to look at that package?
At this point, they decided they had enough and that it was time to double down.
Hey there. I like it.
Get out with that thing. No, out.
You dumb bitch.
You're a dumb bitch.
Don't play it tight, you moron. Take a picture real quick.
I'm
gonna do more than take a.
You don't live in reality, lady.
After the package incident, Joanne's family would go on to install security cameras and a fence around the house specifically to prevent people from vandalizing and trespassing on the home. Joanne herself would routinely survey the house by sitting on the front porch and being on the outlook for fans that would stop by the house. Despite these efforts, harassers still would continue to taunt Joanne and her family by bringing pizzas to her house. Granted, without throwing them on the roof of the house, but that wouldn't stop Joanne from losing her mind over it. Jimmy Kimmel even caught wind of what she had to deal with on a daily basis and even offered to pay for security systems for the house. But Joanne would decline his offer, since accepting his offer would only incite more people to come and harass her family even more.
Jimmy Kimmel felt so bad for us at one point. He wanted us to do a Zoom, and he was going to pay for our security, and we're like, no. Because at the time, any interviews we do, anything we do, doubles the people coming to the house.
It just increases it. So when did Jimmy Kimmel offer that? Was the show still on, or was it after?
No, it was the time where we had to put the fence up in 2017.
Joanne would go on to explain on the podcast that she went viral, particularly on TikTok, after she got so sick of tourists visiting the house that she would fight back by yelling at them, telling them to go away, and by saying a bunch of other threatening things as well. This would backfire, however, as people would be encouraged to harass her even more upon seeing these videos that were being uploaded. It essentially became a new trend to go to the location and harass her to get a reaction out of her, and while a lot of people visited the area just to see the house, many visited to cash in on said trend instead. This would lead to videos of Joanne Joanne cursing out and threatening TikTokers who dare step foot into her territory to be uploaded to the platform, as well as many other platforms like YouTube. And these videos would get millions of views, and she eventually got the nickname the Breaking Bad Karen as a result. With all this said and done, many people would wonder why she took so long to sell the house, which was what happened earlier this year. Well, to Joanne, the house held so much sentimental value to her. It was the place she grew up in, and it held significant sentimental value not only to Joanne, but to her family. Her family grew up and were raised in that home for over 50 years, and she didn't want to give up the house all because of ignorant harassers that didn't understand boundaries. At the time of making this video, the house is still up for sale at $4 million, and needless to say, Joanne's family have cut their losses. In an interview with KOB4, Joanne would go on to say, "We're going to walk away with just our memories. It's time to move on. We're done. There's no reason to fight anymore." Joanne would go on to say that she hopes that they make it what the fans want, a museum. They want access to it. Go for it. With all this said and done, it's fair to say that fans of anything popular can be intrusive and damaging, and Joanne's story serves as a cautionary tale of how rabid a fan base could get. Many people criticize Joanne for lying by saying that she curses out people who aren't there to harass her and are only there to take pictures and whatnot. But at the same time, you can't really blame her after everything she's been through. Anybody would be paranoid of anyone coming up to their house after years and years of ongoing harassment. So to say that she's lying, quote unquote, is a bit far-fetched. Hopefully, after selling the house, Joanne and her family can go on and live the rest of their lives in peace without having to endure any harassment from fans of Breaking Bad. After all, it was her own private domicile and she shouldn't have been harassed.
Bitch!